Everyone can hear me? All right, cool. How you guys doing? Good. So I appreciate all you guys coming out. My name is Jalil Nash. I'm the founder of JSM Funding Solutions. And basically in this presentation, I just want to break down how I've been able to use business credit to change my life. And the reason why I wanted to put this together is because so many people ask me, what is business funding? How does it work? What can I do with it? And my biggest goal is to be able to show you guys how you guys can use it to be able to start your businesses, grow your businesses, whatever you're looking to do. All right, so let's dive in. So first of all, like I said, what you're going to learn today, you're going to learn what is business funding, how do I qualify for it, and then what can I do with it. And now, just a few things. Just focus on absorbing the info, right? So don't just focus on writing notes. Just kind of absorb the info as much as you can, because I'm actually recording this, so that way you guys can go back and rewatch it. Also, save your questions for the Q&A at the end. And lastly, I like to make it interactive. So if I'm like raise your hand or repeat after me, it'll keep it more fun. So just don't be shy. All right. So just a few disclaimers. Everything I'm teaching you guys and I'm talking about is based on real life experience, not theory or anything like that. Also, I'm not trying to sell you or recruit you to do anything. All my goal here is today is to, like I said, make you guys more aware of the resources that are available to everyone here in this room. And lastly, the information is used for educational purposes only, and it's up to you what you guys want to do with it. Now, who is this for? So the first group of people is aspiring entrepreneurs. So who here is an aspiring entrepreneur? Someone who wants to start a business, get started with Airbnbs, rental cars. Cool. So most people. Perfect. So this, like I said, information is going to help you guys a lot because this funding, business credit is what I've been able to use to start my business. Next is for current business owners or real estate investors. So you guys already all raised your hand, so we're good. And then lastly, it would be investors who need money to take advantage of additional investment opportunities. So as far as you guys will see as I go through the presentation, you can use this money for any business idea or investment. So who am I? I've been a full-time entrepreneur since I was 21 years old. So it's been nearly 3 years since I had a regular 9-to-5 job. So I've been supporting myself and my family with my own business since 2022, right? So it's been a minute. I've learned a lot over the past few years. Also, I'm married to my wife Shayla. She's right here in the front. I grew up in New Jersey, moved to Las Vegas when I was 18 years old, and then we moved to Tucson, Arizona in 2023. So it's been about 2 years or so. And then I own a business funding company and a portfolio of Airbnbs that I manage with my wife. And now just like a few things just about me outside of like the presentation itself. The reason why I got into funding in particular was because when I first started out as an entrepreneur, I was really trying to figure out how to get money so I could start investing in real estate, right? So I got my real estate license when I was 19 years old. And, my plan was like just to make money, make a lot of money with commissions so that way I could start buying properties. But then as I started to learn about real estate and how people acquire these properties, a lot of people don't even use their own cash, right? So they use credit lines and different things like that to be able to make down payments. And usually they also raise money from other people to be able to buy these properties. So as I started to learn this stuff, I was like, man, I started to learn about credit. And then I realized this thing called business credit, and you could use business credit as well to be able to do the same things. And so long story short, I got my license when I was 19. By the time I was 20 years old, we ended up acquiring our first property in Las Vegas. And the way that we did that is we had a little bit, had about half of that money we needed for the down payment in cash, and then the other half we actually used credit for. So I had a credit line that I had access to, took the money from the credit line, and we were able to close on the property. And so it just kind of really shifted my mindset. I was like, wow, I needed this money, in about 2 weeks in order to close on this deal. And then when we were able to come up with it that quickly from using a credit line, I was like, wow, it's just proof of concept, And so long story short, we ended up getting rid of that deal, but it was just proof of concept because I know once we find a good real estate deal, you can kind of do the same thing. And that asset that you buy will really get us ahead. And so, like I said, the same way I've been able to do this, the same thing that you guys can do as well. And so this next slide is just a few pictures of me and my wife. She's going to come up here really quick and just tell her story a little bit about how she's been able to use funding to start an Airbnb.
Okay. So my name is Shayla Nash. First off, thank you guys for coming, and I'm super excited to share our story with you guys. So we grew up in New Jersey together. We're high school sweethearts. We started dating when we were 16, and then we moved out to Las Vegas when we were 18. When we were living in Las Vegas, I worked as a customer service rep for Target, and then I got an opportunity to work as a phlebotomist at a blood bank. So at the time, my big goal was to get into real estate. I wanted to acquire assets and just really just start to build wealth with my husband, right? And I felt that if I pursued a degree in nursing and I worked kind of just like climb the ladder and everything, that I would be able to save enough money to start investing into real estate. But then I realized that one day I kind of ran the numbers and I was like, wow, like it's gonna take me forever to do that. So we were talking one night and I just looked into other opportunities. I learned about Airbnb and I studied that for about 4 months. So once we got our Airbnbs up and running, we had used business funding to cover all of our startup costs. So all the furniture, getting the apartment ready to be listed, and everything like that was all covered by the business funding credit card. So then we were able to, I was able to quit my job. I was able to go full time with the Airbnb business and able to start to really have freedom, in my day to day. And that has allowed me to be able to be full time in real estate. So I say all this to say that if you're on the fence or you have a business idea and you're like, where am I going to get the money for it? Business funding has truly changed our lives. And I know that it'll definitely change your lives too. So thank you guys so much.
All right, great job. Everyone give it up for Shayla. Yeah, guys, so this is, like I said, a picture of us, the Airbnbs, and even just me starting my own business funding company. It really changed our life. These pictures are us on our latest cruise that we went on. This was like a 2-week trip. And honestly, if it wasn't for us having like our businesses, we wouldn't have been able to go away for 2 weeks and make memories. And not only that, be able to also make money while we were still on that trip. So it was crazy. It was life-changing. And I realized, like I said, anyone could really do this with the right resources. Now, what's the ultimate question, right? So everyone asks the same question. When it comes to starting a business, making investments, or growing a business, what's the number one question everyone has? Does anyone know? Right. Everyone asks, where do I get the money? That's the biggest concern. All right, so let's dive into that. So there's 4 ways that most people fund a business. So the first way is saving up cash. The second way is borrowing money from friends and family. The third way is going to be using personal credit cards. And then the fourth way is going to be business loans. And so these 4 are actually super ineffective. I'm going to break down really quick why. So when it comes to saving cash, the first thing is that it takes a very long time, okay? Especially if you work a job, like, it takes a long time to save up money for like retirement, right? By the time you're like been working a job for 30, 40 years, you only have about a few $100,000 just for retirement. So setting aside extra money just to be able to start a business can take even longer. So it's super ineffective. And then once you use that money, let's just say the business doesn't end up working out, now you got to start back from square one. And that can take another, 10 years, 20 years, right? So it's pretty ineffective. Number 2 is borrowing money from friends and family. So when it comes to that, most people don't really have money to lend you, right? And then if they do lend it to you and you don't pay it back, that can end up ruining those relationships. Number 3 is using your personal credit cards. So many people make this mistake of maxing out their personal credit cards to be able to start their business. And the reason why this is ineffective is because once you max out your credit cards, your credit score is going to drop drastically because you didn't already used up all your credit. So if you need to access more credit, or maybe you need a loan or something for something, you're not going to be able to get it. And so it's pretty ineffective. And lastly would be business loans. So if you're looking to start a business or something like that, as a new business owner, you're not going to have the financial documents that banks are going to need for you to be able to qualify for the business loan. So that's why business loans are pretty ineffective if you're trying to start a new business. Now, when it comes to the solution, right? So I've realized that we don't have a money problem. We sometimes just lack strategy, creativity, and courage. But if we have those 3 things, anything's really possible. So I know what you guys are probably thinking, like, oh, debt is scary. My parents told me to stay away from debt. I don't want to use debt. Like, what are some things that you guys have heard? Let me know. Like, what are a few things that you guys heard about debt growing up? It's bad. What else? It's scary. Okay. Yeah, so I'm saying, so we've just been taught to stay away from it. Okay, but let me ask you this. Like I said, how long would it take you to save $50,000 to $150,000 working your job to be able to start a business, grow a business, or make large investments? Like we said, probably 10, 20 years, right? Also, are most of the people who told you to stay away from debt, are they multimillionaires, or do they have a pretty average financial situation? Nine times out of 10, right? Pretty average, okay? And now I know you guys probably think of, oh, what about Dave Ramsey? Does anyone in the room know Dave Ramsey? Okay. Cool. So Dave Ramsey is actually a multimillionaire. And his whole story is stay away from debt. Debt is bad, right? But the people he's talking to are mainly the ones who use debt to consume. They use debt to buy things that don't put more money in their pocket. And so when he's talking about staying away from debt, he's talking about don't go out and over leverage yourself to buy a house or to buy a car that you don't really need. but he's not saying like don't use debt to be able to buy assets, things that are going to put money in your pocket. All right, so I'm gonna dive a little bit more into that. Now, just a few things, just to get this to sink in a little bit. I got 3 things I just want you guys to repeat after me. So I'm gonna say it first, and you guys say it. So first thing is, debt is not scary; it's just a tool. Second is, if you use debt to consume, it'll make you poor. And lastly, if you use debt to produce, which means make you money, it'll make you rich. There we go. So what does that mean? So when it comes to consuming, like I said, it means using debt to buy things that does not generate income. So this is buying things like cars, homes, um, taking out loans or financing a vacation on your credit card, right? Because you don't have the cash for it. When you do these things, it's so easy to borrow the money for them, but it's not going to put more money in your pocket at the end of the day. Okay. When you use debt to produce, though, we're using debt to invest in things that generate income. So we're talking like investment properties. You can even use debt to buy a business that's already generating income, right? Or you can use your business credit cards to be able to run ads for your existing business. Whenever you see these guys on the internet and you see them everywhere. I'm talking about you watch a YouTube video or maybe Instagram and you see all these different people on there that are saying like, they have their product or service, but you see them everywhere. How do you think they're able to fund those ad campaigns? They use their business credit cards. They're not using their cash. And lastly, you can also use these business credit cards like I've been able to do to invest in mentorship or learn income generating skills like marketing, sales, things like that. So this is the difference between using debt to consume and using debt to produce. Now, how do you avoid the debt trap? Right? Because I know people are probably still thinking like, oh, I don't know, it still sounds kind of risky. Well, first thing you got to do is unlearn everything that you've been taught about credit. Because we've been taught to use credit, like I said, to consume, not to create wealth. But if you switch your mindset and you start thinking about how can I start using credit to be able to help other people solve problems? Because at the end of the day, making money comes from you solving problems for other people. So like I said, don't use credit for non-essentials or luxuries that don't generate income. Use credit to produce. So focus on using it to make money, not spending it. And then also too, if you have some pretty bad spending habits, I recommend get that under control first before you implement these strategies. All right, but yeah, like I said, as long as you guys focus on using debt to produce instead of consume, you'll put yourself in a much better spot. Now, what is business funding? Because everyone asks me this question. So now, business funding is basically money that businesses borrow in order to pay for things it needs. So it can come in the form of business credit cards, business loans, business lines of credit. And then this money could be used to pay for things like marketing expenses, hiring staff. You could use it to, fund your different ad campaigns, buy equipment, whatever you really need it for within your business. Now, the 3 that you see on the screen are business credit cards, lines of credit, and loans. So there's a lot more actually than this, but these 3 are actually the most common. All right, so first thing is business credit cards. That's mainly the one I'm going to focus on throughout the rest of the presentation. But as far as these credit cards, they're actually revolving. So that means that after you use these credit cards, you pay the money back, you can use the money again. Also, too, is that as far as the limits on these credit cards, they go all the way up to 140,000, right, on one card. So the limits on these cards are crazy, and as long as you know what to do with the money, you can really make some moves. Also, there's 0%. The interest rates are as low as 0% interest. Also, too, most people don't really know this, but people think like, oh, what if I need cash? Well, on your credit card, you can actually take the money off of their card in the form of cash, but I'm not talking about a cash advance. There's a process that we use called liquidation. So you can basically take the money off the cards. So I'm not going to get too deep into it, but just know that you can take it off. Number 2 is, like I said, business lines of credit. So these are also revolving lines of credit. They already come in the form of cash, but in order to qualify, you need at least 2+ years of age on your business, and usually you're going to need some business tax returns. So this is not for like brand new business owners. And lastly would be business loans. Now, business loans, they come in the form of cash as well, but the limits, as far as limits on a business loan, they go up to millions of dollars. But they're for mainly established businesses. A bank is not going to lend you millions of dollars if you just started your business yesterday, right? But as far as what's available to everyone in the room, mainly business credit cards. All right, so let's jump into how these are beneficial. So the first thing is that you can get 50K to 150,000 in 30 days, even as a new business. All right, so if you just started your business 30 days ago, you can access this funding on a form of a credit card. Also, there's no credit history. Not credit, but no financial docs required. As long as you have great credit on the personal side, you can access this money. All right. Number three is that is 0% interest. So there's no interest for the first 12 months, and you can extend this 0% interest period for up to 10 years. So this is a really, really big advantage. Also, it's only 1% monthly payments on any unpaid balances. So for example, if you use, let's just say $10,000 to be able to start your Airbnb business, right? And you use that money, that's most likely going to generate you a few thousand a month, right? Once you get them stabilized. But as far as the money that you borrowed off the credit card, that's only going to cost you about $100 a month for you to be able to borrow that 10 grand a month. I mean, 10 grand for the Airbnbs. So that's $100 a month, basically that's costing you, and you're making thousands of dollars. You see what I'm saying? So you're making more money than the debt is costing you, and that's why this is beneficial. Also, too, it doesn't affect your personal credit. So if you, whatever that $10,000 balance that I just referred to, that's not showing up on your personal credit. This is only reflecting on your business. And you can have multiple businesses, right? Also, too, you can use it as cash, like I said, as needed. Also, you earn rewards through points and cash back. And then, like I said, it's a revolving line of credit, so you can reuse the money over and over again as you pay it back. Now, if you're thinking of the following, raise your hand, right? No, that's too good to be true. There's no way. How come I never heard of this before? Anyone thinking that? All right, cool. So I need you guys to keep an open mind, right? Because I'm going to show you how this is real and it can change your life if you use it properly. Now, what is 0% interest funding? Okay, so this is the main type of funding that I've been able to use. My wife has been able to use, my friends. This is what we've been able to use to be able to get our business off the ground. Now, certain business credit cards basically offer a 0% interest period during, when you first get approved. So this period can range anywhere from 6 up to 18 months, and then it can be extended up to 10 years. All right. Also, too, like I said, I just told you guys the only 1% minimum payments of any revolving balance. And so this is the cheapest and best money that you can ever borrow in order to start a business or make investments. You'll never find money this cheap. Okay. Now, I wanted to show you guys actually an example of this. So this is actually one of my business credit cards. Okay, so this is one of my cards. As you can see, the payment to borrow the money is only 1% of the balance. As you guys can see, the balance is $17,000. And my minimum monthly payment to borrow that money was only $176 a month to be able to borrow 17 grand. Now, when it comes to you starting your business, I mean, who can make some moves with $17,000? You can do a lot, right? So that's a pretty decent amount of money. And as you guys can see, the credit limit, what's my credit limit? 61,500 on one card. So like I said, the credit limits are pretty crazy. And like I said, they go all the way up to $140,000. Also, too, 0% interest for 12 months. As you can see, purchase APR, 0%. And after this 12 months runs out, I can extend this for another year, up to, like I said, 10 years. So as far as the 0%, you can use it as long as you really need it. And then lastly, this $17,000 balance, it does not show up on my personal credit report. So I can continue to go to the banks and ask for more money, and they'll give it to me because they don't see that I owe this money because it's only under my business name. So that's a crazy, crazy advantage. So I want to briefly let you guys know what has credit done for my life. So I started out building my credit from scratch at the age of 18, right? I didn't come from money. I didn't have anyone to teach me this stuff. I had to learn all this stuff on my own. So I invested a lot of money into mentorships. I invested a lot of money into books, just learning money and like how does this stuff work, okay? So like I said, I started out in real estate at 19 years old, and then by 20 years old, I was able to buy a property. So that's only one year later from getting started in real estate, especially after learning this information. And so from me learning this information and implementing it, we've been able to access, me and Shayla, been able to access over $300,000 in business credit to be able to fund our business ideas and investments. And 300K, that's only across 2 banks. So if I have a relationship with like another few banks, we easily can get to over $1 million in capital. All right. Now, as far as businesses that we've helped, we've secured over $1 million in funding for businesses just in 2024 alone. So this year we're shooting for 10 million, 100 million really to be able to fund as many businesses as we can, help them get this money. Also, too, I've been able to scale my business to 6 figures in under a year, and also we built a profitable portfolio of Airbnbs. And like I said in the beginning, I haven't worked a job since I was 20, and my wife hasn't in nearly 2 years. And then like I said, we can still travel and still make money on vacation. So as far as using this money, as long as you use it to, like I said, start a business, grow a business, and make money, you guys can pretty much do the same thing. Now, just like I'll give you guys a few more visuals, those are those Airbnbs that my wife was referring to. So that's just a few pictures. We've had these now for over a year, and they've been consistently producing income every single month. This right here is about 135,000 in business credit approvals. This is my credit, so I'm not just talking. That's my credit right there. That's when we closed on that property in Las Vegas. And then this is the revenue that we generated last year, about 136,000. Now, I know you're probably wondering, so it all sounds cool, but how do you get approved? Anybody wondering that? How do you get approved, right? So there's actually only three things that you need. You just need strong personal credit, you just need a low risk business, and then you just need relationships with the right banks. So three things. So how many? That's it. There's three, right? So when it comes to strong personal credit, I didn't really want to overwhelm you guys with all these qualifications and all that. So I want to keep it simple. So as far as personal credit, when it comes to your personal credit, ideally you just want to have at least 700 plus credit score. That's just like the bare minimum though, because you can still have an 800 plus credit score and still get denied for funding. So what's really most important is not really your credit score. What's most important is actually your overall credit profile. So if you have a strong credit profile, what does that look like? That means that you have high credit limits on your personal credit. You got maybe about 15,000 or so in personal credit limits. Ideally, whatever you have in credit limits, you're on the personal side, you get 3 to 5 times that on the business side. So I got about 15, 20,000 on the personal side. I get a really high limits on the business side. Also, too, no negative marks. So no late payments, no collections, no charge-offs, nothing like that on your personal credit. And then the last few things are just like no inquiries or limited inquiries. As far as who here knows what an inquiry is? You guys know what an inquiry is? Okay, cool. So for y'all that don't know, basically whenever you apply for a loan or a credit card, you are a bank is pulling your credit report and they're going to give you a hard inquiry. So if you have a bunch of these hard inquiries on your credit report, it looks like that you're desperate for money. And so if you're desperate for money, they're not going to want to lend to you. Okay. So that's that. So there's a few more, but like I said, just kind of keep it simple. Those are the most important ones. Number two is a low risk business. So when it comes to your LLC that you have, you want to set it up as a low risk entity. So what does that mean? That means something low risk will be considered like a consulting business, a marketing business, something that basically has low startup costs and high profitability. Okay. So I know what you're probably thinking though. If you like, oh, well, I want to start a real estate business or I want to do a restaurant, you can do that. But get your LLC set up as a low risk business, and then you can use that funding to be able to fund your higher risk business. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So a low risk business, what does that look like? That means something that it just looks legit, right? So think of any big business. Think of Walmart. Think of Amazon, Apple, Tesla. All of these businesses have a business address. They got a business email, business phone number. They have they have an EIN number, right? So a tax ID number for their company. So just think of anything that a legitimate business would have. That's what you want your LLCs to be set up like. Okay. And the most important thing outside of the low risk thing is make sure that the name of your business is vague. That's really important. So if you want to start I don't know, real estate business, you don't want to say your name, real estate investments. That's risky to the banks. They're not going to want to lend to you. What you want to say is your name at solutions or enterprises or management. Nobody knows what that means. But when you go to the bank, they're going to be a lot more lendable and generous to you because you have a low risk business. And, like I said, it doesn't really look risky on paper. Number three is relationships with the right banks. So when it comes to your relationships with these banks, banks are relationship based. So what does that mean? The more accounts that you have with banks, the more money you have with them, and the longer that you've been banking with them, the more generous they'll be to you. So if you have, let's just say a mortgage, you got credit cards, you have bank accounts with one bank, your relationship is going to be very strong. Now, as far as the banks that are worth having relationships with, personally, I only bank with banks that have great business credit products. Because at the end of the day, I'm not here to save money. I want to put my money with you so that way I can get some money from you, right? That's kind of how I think. And so the more relationships we can kind of build out with banks, the more money we can get access to, right? So we don't want to bank with like a small local bank that doesn't really have any business credit products, okay? So a big bank that I bank with is Chase. I love Chase. They have some of the best business credit products. That business credit card I showed you, that one's from Chase. So I would recommend that if you guys are banking with a lower or a more local bank, I recommend move some money over to Chase, open up a business checking account, and then you guys can start building out the relationship. So that's just one bank, but there's over 4,000 banks in the United States. And like I said, you can have as many LLCs as you want. So the funding is really unlimited once you know how to access the money. And all you need is just these three things. You can access the money from any bank that has business credit. All right. So as far as what we can help you with, first thing will be fixing your credit. So I know some people here, they probably have some negative marks on their credit, right? You heard me say you want no negative marks. If you have that stuff, we can help you fix it. Okay, so anything on the credit can be removed. It doesn't matter if it's late payments, it could be a bankruptcy even. Something, that's really the worst thing. That can even be removed from your credit report. Also, too, if you need to build credit, right? Let's just say that you've never had a credit card, your credit profile isn't really that great. We can help you build it up from scratch and get you in position so that way you can access this funding. Number three is will also help you lower your utilization. So if you have some high credit card balances, there's ways for you to consolidate your debt in a way where you can get it consolidated and then you can still be able to access funding. Because as soon as that utilization is low, now you're more lendable to the banks on paper. Number four would be setting up a low risk business. So like I said, there's a few things when it comes to setting up the LLC. If you guys don't want to spend your time figuring it out all on your own and just trying to do all that, we can set it up for you and make sure you're good to go. We set it up in less than a week. So turnaround time is very, very quick. Next is financial education. Like I told you guys, I didn't come from money, but I learned all this stuff from reading books, investing in mentorships, things like that. And so I put together some programs as well that you guys can also look into that can help you learn more about how this stuff works. Also, too, the step-by-step funding process. So we can help you get anywhere between 50,000 to 500,000 or more, depending upon how established your business is. So like I said, if you're a brand new business, ideally to be 50,000 to 150. If you're more established, we can get you $500,000 or more. But like I said, it's all based on your personal credit, your relationships with the banks, and also how low risk your LLC is. All right. But as far as like why you would want to do it with us or why it's beneficial is because at the end of the day, we have connections with the banks, right? So we have the people that basically approve you for these loans and credit cards are underwriters. So we have people in the banks that are connected directly to those underwriters. So we're able to actually request limits. So if you want to get a $50,000 credit card, 60,000 or whatever, we can tell our banker like, hey, this guy or this girl wants this. And then as long as your stuff checks out like how I showed you, they'll approve you. When you apply online by yourself, you maybe get 5, 10,000. So you're going to get much more higher limits working with us. Also, too, we've already done this process multiple times for multiple people. So we're going to be able to expedite the process for you, make it go faster and smoother rather than you figuring this out all on your own. But like I said, if you don't want the big bag, you guys can do this on your own. But if you want a lot of money, we can help you. All right. And lastly, we can show you how to put your funding to work, right? So guidance on launching your business or investments, okay? Because when it comes to using this money and implementing into your business, there's a lot of different ways and things that you can do. But my goal isn't to just get you the money. I want to see you guys implement into your business properly and not put yourself in debt. So we will sit down with you after you get your funding and we'll come up with a game plan on how you can use it and implement it properly. All right, so this is basically what we can help you with. Now, what can you use the money for, right? Everyone asks this question too. You can use the money for anything, really anything. Anything related to making money in your business. That could be advertising, that can be education, that could be hiring and paying employees, making investments, business expenses, and really just to fund any business idea or investment. So if you want to get started in real estate investing, you want to get started in Airbnb, you want to start an online business, you can use the money for anything. And now if you use the money for any personal expenses, you're not going to get in trouble. But at the end of the day, like I told you guys, producing versus consuming. If you're using debt to produce, it puts you in a better spot. If you're just using to pay your personal expenses, yeah, you might cover it for the month, but you're still going to have the same problem at the end of the month because you don't have a business. You don't have assets that put more money in your pocket. All right. But yeah, that's what you can use the funding for. And now, who are some successful business owners who have actually done this in real life, right? Because I've already showed you guys myself, but who are some other people? So everyone here familiar with Jeff Bezos? Everyone know Jeff Bezos? All right, cool. Well, his parents in 1995 actually lent him $245,000. Who knows if that was from cash or credit? But regardless, that $245K turned into $30 billion, right? So that small investment that they put into the company turned into $30 billion over time. And also his parents, they were not born wealthy. But I just want to give you guys an example because I just want to show you, you can easily access this from the banks. And if you had an opportunity like that, you can get the same outcome. It doesn't matter where the money comes from. It could be cash, credit, you could borrow the money from friends, whatever you want to do, but it is still the same outcome. Next is Elon Musk. Everyone knows Elon Musk, right? All right, cool. Well, he started his first company in his like early 20s. He borrowed about 28 grand. And 4 years later, he actually sold the business for 341 million, right? And this his share of the company turned into 22 million. So basically, he borrowed 28,000 and turned it into 22 million, right? If you guys, like I showed you, that was a credit card for like it was like 60,000, right? You can easily get those funds off that credit card and be able to do the same thing, right? The only difference is that Elon Musk, he just was thinking big and he just knew what to do. But you can learn all these things too. There's no limitations. Next is Mark Zuckerberg and also Michael Dell. So Mark Zuckerberg, as you guys know, he started Facebook. He borrowed about $100,000 back when he was in college, and he started Facebook. Now Facebook is a multi-billion-dollar company, right? And you can get that $100,000 easily from the bank. Lastly, Michael Dell. He started a computer company, Dell Computers. He borrowed $1,000 to be able to start this business, get it off the ground. So a pretty small amount of money. But in 2013, he took the company private, which basically means he just expanded it, and he borrowed 19.4 billion from the banks. So just to give you guys an example or some context for how much money that is, if you were to spend $100,000 per day for the next 100 years, you would still have billions of dollars left over. So that's a lot of money. But he borrowed all that money from the bank to be able to expand and grow the company. So as you guys can see, these are all successful, wealthy people, and all these people use debt, all of them, right? So the fact of this idea of, oh, we shouldn't use debt, it's not good for us, right? It's keeping you stuck, right? But at the end of the day, it really just comes down to having the right mindset. We got to start thinking like producers instead of consumers. That's the most important thing. Now, just my final point. So we don't need to come from wealth in order to fund our success. Okay. So banks have all the capital that we need. We just have to know how to access it. So at the end of the day, do we have a money problem or did we just lack strategy? It was just strategy, right? Because now I just showed you guys those three things that you guys needed in order to access the money. Now that you guys have the strategy, it's up to you guys what you're gonna do with it. Okay. So now, transitioning, I just want to let you guys know some real results and stories from some of my trusted friends. So my guys, Brian and Oswaldo. So I'm just going to introduce them first, and they'll come up here and share their story. So first off, my guy Brian, he got access to I helped him get access to 55,000 in business funding. All right, he took this business funding. He was able to scale his barber business because he's a barber, and also start his product line, YMG products. So that's like a hair product kind of business. But he's been able to use that funding and use it to produce solutions for other people and make more money. All right. Now my guy Oswaldo, we got him access to $50,000 in business funding. He's been able to use this money to be able to start his car flipping business and also get started with Airbnb. So he's, on his way to being a full-time business owner just off of using this money. So I'm super proud of both these guys. First off is going to be my guy Brian. Do your thing, bro.
Thank you, Jalil.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how's everybody doing today?
Appreciate it.
Just want to say thank you guys for being here. Just very valuable information. A lot of people would gatekeep this. I feel like I didn't even know about this, and then I met Jalil and changed my life. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm Jalil's barber. So this is how I started back in 2018. I was just a kid playing video games. Then my mom got pissed off at me. That's all I would do, play video games. And then I got into playing football. And then that's actually the guy that I did my first haircut on ever. And then I used to work at Safeway, and I was making $10 an hour, 50 for 5 hours. So I was making like $50 a night. And then let's see. Oh wait, hold up. Yeah, so Safeway, I would just clean the floors, the whole store, just floor service. And then there's a picture of me. I got my first clippers, and then I was just practicing in the bathroom right there. There's a few pictures of my first haircuts. And then I graduated in 2020. I got hired at one of the best barbershops in town at the time, and I wanted to join them because there was some barbers I looked up to that were working there. So I joined, and then I went from 500 followers, and then I got 2,000 followers from them helping me, And then so I had no skills, coming out of high school. You just you don't really. I feel like I didn't learn nothing, and then I got into I had nothing else to do besides that. I just started drinking, started making money. That's all I did was cut hair, make money. I had no skills. All right, so one, securing funding for growth. This is what business funding did for me. So through JSN Funding Solutions, I accessed the 50K, which transformed my personal and professional life. And this investment allowed me to afford high-level mentorships that I wouldn't be able to afford. It would have taken me years to afford, basically. So I use the funding, get into these rooms, and then And then number two, the skills I developed in business for my business success. The mentorships I got in helped me equip vital skills like leadership, copywriting, marketing, and sales. As a result, I grew my Instagram following to 70K, became one of the top barbers in the city, and set a new standard by charging 85 to 100 per haircut. So, and also the funding allowed me to launch my YMG products, hair care, and then yeah, so that's that. So this is like a picture. So this is the followers I used to have, and then right now I'm at 70K. So I was able to do that by developing the skills, marketing, and then yeah. Let's see, next one. So this is a picture of me and Oswaldo, my brother. This is our Instagram page. We're working on some formulas in the lab, and then yeah, that's it right there. And then number 3, empowering other. So this is my goal, to empower other barbers dedicated to helping other to leverage their social media marketing and to grow their business, just like I did. So I'm working on a high ticket offer right now using my personal brand, and I'm gonna leverage that. So that's what I got going on right now. So this is how business funding helped me, and then I really think it can help you guys. So yeah, that's it right there.
Great job, great job. So next up is my guy, Waldo.
How you guys doing? Thank you for coming. My name is Oswaldo. I'm 24 years old, and I'm just basically I'm gonna keep it short and simple. I don't have too much to tell. Just basically like straight to the point. Oh, that's part of his slide, not mine. So this is me. This is my company right here, OAC Solutions. Basically just tell you about like my story, like where I came up from, and basically where I'm at right now. So basically how I started was I went to, right out of high school, I went to community college. That's basically what my parents taught me, what my, all my family went to college. They said, hey, go to college. They always like told you just, right out of high school, get right into your career. I did about like maybe 2 semesters. And then I just kind of realized that like the jobs I was looking at, or the careers I want to say, was only hitting like about 75, 80K like a year, which was kind of crazy to me. I was always on social media seeing that like so many like younger people than me were making hundreds of thousands of dollars every day, and like it just to me it was just like crazy. Like how are they doing that, and like I'm not. So I dropped out of college. You know what I mean? It wasn't for me. I hated school to begin with. I was keeping good grades. I was doing my thing, but it just was not for me at all. I did look up to my brother a lot. He went through this program. It's the Conservatory of Culinary Arts and Science. So that's me, and it was more hands-on. It wasn't like in the class, like writing stuff down and everything. I was just like, it was all hands-on. People were like, talking to you. It was kind of like high school a little bit, where they like interact with you one-on-one. College wasn't like that. It was more like they had bigger classes, and it was a lot harder, and like they had to work with everybody, so it was a little tougher. I did love it. I liked it a lot. Unfortunately, it was around like 2020 where COVID happened, so it kind of just took a whole spin. And also, a lot of people were losing their jobs in LA. So like, why would they take an intern rather than keeping the people that they have already? So rock bottom again, basically. What I was able to do with JSN funding was I basically I was with Brian, and he told me about some guy who was cutting up, and he was telling him about like a lot of information about basically like how you can get this much money, like start his own business and everything, how successful, Joe was becoming at such a young age. And that got my attention, right away. So as soon as Brian, got me in touch with Jill, I was able to raise that or get that 50K in funding. Me and Brian are working together on the whole lab thing, making our own product to like throw it out there. And then I kind of just didn't want to like just leave it at that. I wanted to do my own thing as well. So I was able to acquire, these are some of the vehicles I was able to acquire, which I've been like selling. And basically it got me to 10K in my first month, like my first month at 10K. So that was just like a huge accomplishment. And basically like, it just got me very like motivated. I wasn't tunnel vision anymore. Like it opened a lot of doors for me. So as soon as I hit that 10K on my first month, I just kind of thought of it like, all right, cool. That's one more step. If I can do this frequently, if I can do this every month, I don't need to work on my 9 to 5 anymore, basically. So that's basically it. That's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to, and I'm going to pass it back to Jill just so you can finish off with everything. Just, thank you.
All right, perfect. So those are my guys, Brian and Oswaldo. I really appreciate them. They've helped me so much as far as marketing my business, and I just want to give them their flowers. But really, the main thing is just thank you so much, guys, for your time and attention. And I'm excited to help you guys get funded. So if you guys want to work with us, you want to get help with your funding, Just scan that QR code, and basically you can book a call with my team and I, and we can help you guys. But we just want to take this time now to answer you guys' questions. I know you guys are probably still thinking some things. So, what questions do you guys have for us? Don't jump at me. Who wants to go first? Anybody?
Most you.
All right, go ahead.
What advice would you give someone that's on the fence whether they should quit their job or just start looking at another opportunity, and if they're concerned about working or not?
So I'm sorry, say that one more time. So you said, so basically, what advice would I give to someone who wants to start a business, but they're still working their job and they're trying to figure out what to do? Okay, so as far as what I would say to that person, when it comes to transitioning out of your 9 to 5, it's not really a money thing. I just showed you guys how to get the money. It's not really the money thing. It's more so just a skill thing, right? It's a skill problem that we need to solve. So when I first started my first business, like I said, it wasn't, oh, things changed. So when I first started my first business, like I said, I was a realtor. So I wasn't really making much money as a realtor, but I learned a lot of stuff about sales, marketing, communication, talking to people. And there was a good period of time. It was very frustrating. But the only reason why I didn't make money as a realtor because I didn't have those skill sets yet. But once I transitioned out of that, I ended up working a job. I just needed a little bit of stability. And during that time, I wasn't just working a job just to make money. I was working a job to be able to learn more marketing and sales skills. So that's a big thing. I say right now, if you're in a job that you're working, it's not really teaching you anything about the business that you want to get into. I'd recommend that you find a position somewhere where you can start learning those skills and that knowledge for whatever you want to get into. So that's what I did. After that job, I ended up quitting that. That was the last job I ever had. And then I transitioned into being a remote salesperson. So basically, I would help people sell their products and services online. Now, all the skills that I have built up from being a realtor and being, that little job I had as well, I was able to take those skills and I became the top producing salesperson on that team within the first few months. And if it wasn't for all that time where I was, kind of going through that process of learning, I would have never got to that point. But when I first started out, like I told you, when I was working those jobs, I wasn't making anything. Like I was making maybe $2,000 a month. And then when I started producing as on a sales team, I got to the top point was a top producer. My first month I made 4 or 5 grand. So I was like, whoa, like this is crazy, right? Big jump. And then the next month I made more money. I got to 7 grand. The next month I did 14. And then my peak was like 20 grand in a month. But that was crazy. It was like to go from making $2,000 to basically 10x in my income. It didn't come from anything other than just learning those skill sets. So that's what I would really say. Like develop your skill sets. Work a job where you can learn in your free time. That's also important. Your job, you're only working about 40 hours a week. You still got another 128 hours, 168 hours in a week. So what are you doing with that time? Are you watching TV or are you sitting there reading books and investing into mentorship so that way you could develop yourself? So when I was working that job, I was so uncomfortable, right? Like I told you, I was only making a little bit of money and it was a struggle. But during my free time, I was constantly learning. I was educating myself. And all that time that no one really saw me putting in work, it paid off. And then now we're here where we are. So as I say all that to say, that's what I would do. All right, but yeah, that's a great question. Anyone else? Oh, here you go.
What was it like when you started in Vegas? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when we first started off in Vegas, man, it was a struggle. I'm not gonna lie. When we first started out, I literally had we had moved into our first apartment at 18 years old. So, literally we lived in Jersey, flew across the country, and basically got this apartment. I was fresh out of the military. I was in the military for about, a few months at training, stuff like that. I got back home, we moved into this spot across the country, and it was just amazing, to finally have our own place. But the main reason why we went to Vegas is because we just wanted to get exposed to people who were doing bigger things, people who were thinking bigger, right? So when we were in Jersey, I mean, no one in my family was an entrepreneur. No one. Like everyone was a hardcore, like get your degree, go to school, and get your good job. And I was just like, I want to make millions. I didn't see any jobs on Google that would pay me millions of dollars, right? So I'm like, if I want to make millions of dollars, I need to be a business owner. I need to be an entrepreneur. And so when I got to Vegas, I started getting in rooms with people who were actually making that type of money. I was the youngest one in the room, but it was just amazing to be able to see like these cars. Like I love cars, right? So I love, Rolls Royces and Lamborghinis. I had never seen nothing like that. But I actually talked to people that actually own those things. And I even had the opportunity too to even go to the dealership and sit inside of a Rolls Royce at 19. So it was crazy. I was like, this is amazing. But I was like, if I'm working a job, working for someone else, and only making max 50 to maybe 100,000 a year, I can never get a Rolls Royce. I need to make millions. And so Vegas really opened up my mind. It showed me what's possible. And yeah, that Vegas it was a great stepping stone. But when we went from Vegas to here, I feel like that's when we really started to, really elevate. All right, but that was a great question. All right, anybody else? Who's next? All right.
All right, so you said that you have to have good credit, personal credit, and you guys said you guys provide credit repair. What does that look like?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great question. So as far as credit repair, it's a full done for you service. So we don't have you do anything. All you have to do is basically just once you pay like the fee for the credit repair, we get it done for you. It's not anything crazy. If you got about $1,000 or so to work with, we think we can get you the credit repair. But basically, once you pay the fee, you just upload your some documents, right? Your documents are going to be just like your identity verification stuff, because when they're sending out letters and stuff to fix your credit, they have to have that stuff on file, so that way they can send it out to the credit bureaus and things like that on your behalf. But basically, the credit repair process ranges from 6 to 12 months, depending upon how bad this stuff is on your credit. But once that stuff is fixed, your credit is clean. It doesn't come back or anything like that. So the person that we work with, I don't send out the letters and stuff myself. I have a partner that does this. But once they send out those letters, fix your credit, you're now good. That slate is clean, and now we can build. Once we build, now we can start, like I said, get your LLC going, and you're there for funding. Right, but the process itself is about 6 to 12 months. They just remove stuff from your credit by sending out letters for you, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But you don't really have to do anything. We will also keep you updated throughout the process, because I know what that's like, paying for a service and you don't know what's going on. Right, so we'll actually give you updates about what's going on with your credit and things like that, and keep you in the loop at all times. All right, so yeah, that makes sense. All right, cool. So yeah, so that was that's that. But yeah, anybody else? How you feeling up there, Caesar? Got any questions for me? Okay, cool. What about you guys in the middle? Any questions?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. How do you guys feel about it overall? Like, does it make sense or?
Well, I've talked to you before already, so it kind of.
Okay. Got you. What about you, boss? It was good? Cool. What about you, bro?
Oh, you covered everything.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, guys, this is pretty much it. I really appreciate you guys, like I said, coming out. Scan that QR code if you guys want to, get further information. And yeah, guys, it's just up from here. Let's get you funded.